I got a cinematic trophy. That was ridiculous. Hey guys, welcome to GameBat. Today, beginning a video, and today we're going over the Alpha AK, so the AK-104. So we're gonna jump in. I'll show you the build, show you the recoil, and then we'll go into some gameplay. And I'll go over some information about the AK-104 or the Alpha AK with heavily modified Zeniko attachments here in the video after we get into the recoil and everything. So jumping into it, you'll see this build here. I'll show you some of the favorite builds. First off, if I go ahead and back out, take a look at my operator here, looking pretty ready to go with the AK-104. If we jump into the weapon itself, like I said, for this particular build, going to run the flash hider on there. However, you don't necessarily need that. You still have the correct muzzle device on there at base, but I think the flash hider also just gives it that extra oomph to it, that big fat flash suppressor on there. It just looks really, really nice. Going to run the holographic, so both these will just be 1 point, so you're not using that much. And then we also have the aiming grip is my new favorite one here. This is going to assist with the increase in speed while aiming down sights with your weapon. You can also go with the recoil control. They're the same amount of points, but I find just jumping in the gun range, you're learning to control the recoil for these weapons. The recoil on the Alpha AK really isn't that bad, considering it's 7.62 by 39 millimeter for an AK-104. So the aiming grip, kind of my go-to for all my weapons right now in Insurgency. And then we're going to go ahead and throw on that laser sight there on that right-hand rail on the B30 handguard there. So we'll go ahead and jump on that. And then we have the Urban Digital camo. You can also see if we were to deselect that at base, it still looks really, really nice with just the clean black finish there as well. You can't get the actual Alpha camo for this one like you can in ISMC, kind of like exactly like Larry Vickers had. But some quick information about the weapon here we'll just jump into. You can see that I'll go into what we have for here for the Zeniko attachments here. You can see on the weapon we're going to have the first off, looks like on the top rail mount there. If we go ahead and remove the optic, we'll just take that off quick. You can see here the rail mount is going to be what looks like a B33 receiver cover on there. So that's going to give us that top rail on the dust cover. Go ahead and throw that hollow back on. Then if we go ahead and spin this thing around, we'll see the Zeniko RP1 charging handle there on the right-hand side. That circular attachment for the charging handle just adds more ergonomics in real life, easier to grab because it's circular, just kind of like a fatter charging handle for the operator to grab and charge quickly, especially with AK reloads. You're typically reaching under or over the weapon, so it just allows you to grab that easier. Then we also have what looks like to be, if we go ahead and spin this around, we're going to have the Zeniko, we're going to have the rail covers here. So first off, we're going to have the B30 handguard cover, which is this bottom portion of the rail system that you see where the grip is attached on the bottom. And then we also have the B31 Zeniko gas tube cover, which is that top portion of the rail system that we see. So we have the B30 handguard as the lower portion of the rail system on this for your 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 3 o'clock rail system. And then you have the B31 gas cover, which gives you that top 12 o'clock rail system as well on this weapon. So you can see there, really nice looking weapon, the Alpha AK. Spin this thing around. Some other really cool builds that you may see in this video here. We'll swap out the holographic. Another good one here is the 1x MRO optic. Really nice, clean red dot. Again, looks really nice on this weapon. It's only 1 point. And then also another one that you'll see me run here is the 4x1 M150 bus. So this is a really nice one too. Just utilizing that top mounted delta point as well as the 4x optic for long range engagements. Obviously, we're only going to be going single fire with that, but really nice looking weapon. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to start with the holographic on here, and we'll take a look at the recoil for this weapon. So if we go ahead and we'll jump down, just get over to a wall so we can see this thing in action. And so I'm going to let this just rip first at full auto and not control the recoil at all. So you can see, obviously it climbs pretty heavily. There's good spacing between this. So if you're not controlling it, you're going to go straight vertical and you're going to climb very, very heavily. If I go ahead and back up now, and now we will just control the recoil. So you can see there, obviously it's still going to kick a little bit, and after you practice a little bit, you'll get used to that initial kick. So you really just need to compensate for that initial kick, and then it's going to level out like that. So you can see there, you can definitely get good engagements in full auto at a medium range. I would say more so close range engagements is when you want to go full auto with this thing. Pull down heavily after that first kick, and then you can level set it pretty quickly, not too bad there. And then obviously when you're point shooting, you have we have our laser on here. can't. It's a little hard to see because we don't have a black surface, but we do have a laser on there. You can see. Controlling that, we're able to at least get, for the most part, center mass shots there. So that's our recoil pattern with this weapon. And then we take a look at our quick reload with ammo in the mag. And then, unfortunately, I need to go back and reload here. We'll take a look at the actual full reload where we're going to be utilizing we need to charge the weapon using that Zenico RP1 charging handle. So we'll reload, just mag dump this. Do a quick reload, pop that mag, reach under, charge a handle, and we're good to go. So this is the Alpha AK. So we'll go ahead and just jump into some other videos here, some gameplay that you're going to be seeing here in the background, just playing a mix of hardcore checkpoint as well as just regular checkpoint, just so I can get some easier gameplay for you guys. Hardcore checkpoint, I love that game mode, but it doesn't make for the most entertaining gameplay because you're moving a lot slower. So you'll see a little bit of both here, as well as with the, especially on the regular checkpoint, just some really good engagements for this. And also in hardcore, I try to cut out, I cut around all the in-between stuff for those engagements. We did have some really good engagements in hardcore checkpoint, which is my go-to mode. But the AK-104, if you're not familiar with the 104 series or the 100 series in general, the 104 has been in service from 2001 through present. And again, that whole 100 line of weapons, we have the AK-101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 107, 108, and 109. So they're all relatively similar, however, besides the 107, 108, 109 series. But the AK-104 is the short-barreled variant of the AK-103, firing 7.62 by 39 millimeter. And again, it is chambered in at 7.62 by 39 millimeter. It's basically the exact same rifle as the 103, like I just said, and that is just a shorter barrel version of the weapon. Which is the 103 is going to be your standard barrel length, and here for the 104, it's going to be a 12.4 inch barrel length for that weapon. And then you have, on the flip side, you have the AK-102, which is the shorter version of the 101 with that 12.4 inch barrel length. And the 102 again is firing the 102 and 101 are 5.56 by 45 NATO, and then you have the 105 version, which is the short barrel variant, essentially of the AK-74M, which again is that same barrel length of the 12.4 inches, and that's going to be firing the 5.45 by 39 millimeters. So here with the 104, 7.62 by 39, really awesome looking weapon, especially here in the game where they heavily modify these. AKs just have that really nice look to them when they're heavily modified with the Zenico attachments. So going into some information about the 104 itself, wars that it's been used in, the Syrian Civil War, it's obviously sees a lot of usage within FSB and police units within Russia, as well as the 105. See a lot of uses, but the 104 and the 105, you go ahead and check out Larry Vickers' video. I'll link that down below for the Alpha AK. He goes in depth with that, and he shows off what I believe in that video is a 105 that the FSB units are using. But you'll see a mix, and he says there, of both 105s and 104s, and they even had some in 5.56, I believe, as well. So a large variety being used by the Spetsnaz units in FSB and the other police forces there in Russia. I know the 105 is one of the go-tos for a lot of the police units, for the sober units. So the designer of this is going to be Mikhail Kalashnikov, obviously. Design period was 1994, been in service from 2001 through present. Other variants, like we talked about, are the AK-102 and the AK-105, both short barrel variants of their respective calibers. The mass for the 104 is going to be 3 kilograms or 6.6 pounds. When empty, going to be 7.1 pounds when it does have a magazine in it, and 8.2 when it's a loaded magazine with that 7.62 by 39. The length overall with stock extended, depending on, obviously here we have a modified stock system, but if we're looking at the base 104 without any Zenico attachments, the stock extended is going to be 32.4 inches or 824 millimeters, and the barrel length, like we talked about, 314 millimeters or 12.4 inches. Cartridge we already went over for the caliber, and the action is going to be a gas-actuated rotating bolt with a rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute and a muzzle velocity of 670 meters per second or 2,200 feet per second. The effective range for the 104 is going to be 300 meters or 330 yards. At point blank range, it's going to be 500 meters or 550 yards at its maximum range. So at point blank is going to be, like I said, 300 is the closer engagements, and 500 meters or 550 yards for the stretching this thing out with the sights adjusted correctly. Feed system is going to be a 30-round detachable magazine You obviously do have the ability to attach drum mags and larger 40, 45 round magazines from the other AKs. They're all compatible with this system as long as they're firing the same caliber for the 7.62 539. So you can take AKM, AK-103 magazines are accepted by this platform with the 104. And then the sights are just going to be iron sights. Depending, obviously, if we have the Zenico attachments like in here in the game, the iron sights are going to be flip-up iron sights here that'll be mounted on the top Picatinny rails. So that's the AK-104, a really, really nice looking weapon. And again, it was indeed developed by a Kalashnikov concern, produced by Izhmash factories inside of Russia for all 100 series. And this is basically the AK-100. The shorter barrels here, like the 104, 102, and 105, were basically made to replace the AKS-74Us. Just because they wanted obviously the AKS-74U, good-looking weapon, but obviously that was mainly made for like tank crews and things like that initially. But the 105, 104 is mainly used by police forces and Spetsnaz unit with, like here in this case, the 104, that heavier caliber. And then you have the 105, which does have a longer barrel than the AKS-74U, but you can fold it as well. Just a lot of different things you can do to make it more viable than the AKS-74U, especially with the 104 with that larger caliber. So they made a lot of different changes with this weapon. They added different muzzle devices, boosters, things like that. The 90-degree gas block is a big thing with the 100 series, and you see that from the AK-74 series forward, but it carries over with the 100 series. We have the 90-degree gas block here on all AKs produced after the 74 series. So you see that 90-degree gas block really helps out with this weapon's performance. And you also see the 100 series adopting fully polymer attachments. So you have polymer buttstocks. Typically you have polymer magazines, polymer handguards. And then you also have on all 100 series, especially the one you even see here in game, you do have the side dovetail mount, which is there. However, this version does have that third-party Zenico B33 rail cover on there to attach on the top rail mount versus using the side dovetail mount on the left-hand side of the weapon. And then obviously we have the B30 and the B31 handguard and gas cover there to cover up that. So it's going to replace the typical polymer handguard and gas cover there, and then that's where we see our front iron sight is mounted on that B31 gas tube cover, as well as the rear iron sight is on that B33 rail cover. So let me know what you guys think down below. Have you used the Alpha AK in Sandstorm? This is going to be gameplay here on PS5, by the way, as well as this thing's a lot of fun to use on PC with the ISMC mod. You do get that actual Alpha camo spray in that game for the ISMC mod, versus here we're just using Urban Digital, but I really think it still looks really, really good. AK-104, aesthetically, definitely the Alpha AK is one of my favorite weapons of all time. And the cool thing about if you play this on PC with the ISMC mod, you can replicate this same exact thing using the 105. So you do get the 105 version of that. That's actually in a video which I covered here on the channel. I'll link it. It is in the playlist for here for Sandstorm. You can go ahead and scroll through and find those. I do have a lot of the ISMC weapons that I've covered already. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Definitely helps me out in these low times for the channel as we're in between waiting for Modern Warfare 2 to come out later this year. But we do have a lot of great games here like Sandstorm. We also have still playing a decent amount of Warzone, I would say, to get some footage. But Sandstorm's my main go-to right now. A little bit of Tarkov, things like that. Getting into these tactical shooters is just a blast. And right now, my favorite game to play is definitely Insurgency Sandstorm. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let me know what other weapons you want to see me cover here on the channel, as well as if you have an ISMC weapon request that I haven't covered already in the playlist that you'll see, go ahead and request that down below. Till next time, Buffner Gaming, out.